So thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So a fighter, or a series that actually I've kind of neglected a bit over the last few weeks, or last week or so, is the Fighters with a Big Problem series. Now what I do in this series is I look at fighters who I think, where are they going? What are they going to do? It's not just fighters, I think promoters as well. I think, where are they going? What are they going to do? And, who could they fight, or who could they be matched with? Or kind of what is the end goal for naming the fighter? Like, if you look at guys like Parker, F.A. Jagba, Daniel Dubois, I kind of looked at them and thought, okay, what's the big plan for these guys? And a fighter who I think at this stage falls into that category is this man, if you can see it there, Anthony Yarde. Now, Anthony Yarde, we know he's been out of the ring since August when he fought Sergey Kovalev, gave a great account of himself, done very well. If he had a bit more stamina in that 8th round, could have took Sergey Kovalev out, was very close to it, and then who knows what would have happened. Would he have got a Canelo fight off the back of that? Who knows? So Anthony Yarde riding the crest of a wave following that Kovalev performance, but he got that fight purely by defending a WBO Intercontinental title for several fights, really. Several fights. He won a couple of vacant WBO titles, either vacant Intercontinental title and a European title, WBO European title now that is, going back as far back as 2017. So literally he gained that number one status by just defending lower ranked WBO sanctioned WBO titles. And there's really no names on this resume, Travis Rivas, Tony Avalon, no names that really, Chris Hobbs, jump out at you at all, really. Very, very, very poor opposition got him into a place for the Sergey Kovalev fight. Now, obviously, we learned in that Kovalev fight that Anthony Yarde has good skills, good athleticism. His skills are world level, if not fringe world level at this minute in time, but he can improve. That was, as I said, it was only his 19th fight against Sergey Kovalev, a long reigning at the time light heavyweight champion. Obviously, he only just regained the title, but in the grand scheme of things, he's been reigning for a long time. So for him to go and put on a great performance like that, come within a few punches of winning the title, it's testament to the skill that Anthony Yarde already has. But he could have won that fight if he had one, maybe two step-up fights in between against someone like an Isaac Chilemba, or against, when he fought Travis Rivas, that was in the Royal Albert Hall, which is in London. Now, prior to that fight being announced as Travis Rivas, he was meant to fight a guy here, who I have here on Boxer, called Mahir Amrir. I think Amir or Amrir, I don't know how you pronounce it. But basically, this guy, in the fight before he was purported to take on Anthony Yarde, went the distance for the interim WBC light heavyweight title with Vodstech. So that would have been a fantastic step up fight for Anthony Yarde. That would have been way better than fighting the Travis Rivas. Not even remotely. It would have been way better, because it would have definitely gotten rounds, would have been able to pace himself, would have been against the guy who I think he could have beaten, definitely, but it would have done Anthony Yarde so much good having a fight like that. For whatever reason, he didn't get that fight. I think there was an injury. I'm not sure what the actual thing is. I'm not going to speculate. I can't remember off the top of my head anyway. And yeah, I look at Anthony Yarde now and I see other guys here like Igor Mikhalkin. Igor Mikhalkin is not a particularly good fighter. He's a European level fighter, but he's durable. Would have been a good fight, Sullivan Barrera, okay, I can understand why they probably didn't take that fight. But even guys here like Isaac Chilemba, guys like that who could have, even Chad Dawson, if you wanted to take it there, because he's still knocking around. They're guys who could have given Anthony Yarde rounds, could have helped him pace himself a bit better, could have just helped him grow as a fighter in terms of, everything before taking the Kovalev fight. And if he had one of them, who knows, he could have won. It's all speculation at the end of the day, but who knows, he could have. When I look at the light heavyweight scene now, and the guy who they're talking about matching Anthony Yarde with next, Maxim Vlasov, he's no joke. He's a good fighter. He's campaigning up as high as cruiserweight. He's only lost to Chilemba. He avenged that loss. He lost to Gilberto Ramirez, very good fighter, and he lost to Glowacki. Again, a good fighter. So he's been mixing it in there with good company. That's a tough fight for Anthony Yarde if he's to come back and fight someone like that. You could say maybe Jean Pascal, because Jean Pascal having, say, an Indian summer in his career. You know, this is a man who was beaten black and blue by Sergei Kovalev 4 years ago now. So he's having an Indian summer in his career. Could someone as fresh, as young as Anthony Yarde, as big as Anthony Yarde, give Jean Pascal some problems? Could he potentially beat Jean Pascal for his regular WBA light heavyweight title? Potentially could. You know, as I look down the kind of list of the light heavyweights, you know, guys there like Blake Caparelli, you know, I don't know if he has a fight lined up. I think he might. No, he doesn't actually. You know, again, these are names that I would be putting Anthony Yarde in with if I was managing him. Obviously, we know Tunde Ajayi is managing Anthony Yarde, and you know, he's been matching him very careful over the last few years. And I wonder, is that gonna, well, they're talking about Maxim Valizov. I mean, that's not necessarily a careful match if you think about it. There is talk of him fighting on the April card in the O2. You know, it'd be interesting to see who he goes in there against. I think Anthony Yarde, if they really want to take this, you know, world title challenge seriously, you know, if they want to get into the world title shot, if I was managing Team Yarde, I would take a step up fight. And what I mean by that is, I would imagine, right, let's forget that Kovalev fight. We know we're doing good in it, but let's imagine we're moving on from Travis Rivas. Let's take a step up against someone maybe 2 or 3 levels above him, you know, who can get us the rounds, who can, you know, teach us things. He obviously would have learned a lot in that Kovalev fight, so take kind of what you can from that fight, but kind of put the knockout and all the stamina issues out of your head. Take what you learned from that and move up the ladder. You know, Maxim Valizov, a good fighter, you know, very good fighter. I wouldn't be risking him just yet with that. I'd maybe have 2 interim fights and then pull the trigger on Anthony Yarde. And some of the interim fights I would take would be maybe even Sullivan Barrera. This is a risk, as I do rate this guy, but Jesse Hart, coming off the back of a loss to Joe Smith Jr. Jesse Hart can box, he's tall, but his chin can be questioned maybe a bit. His punching power at light heavyweight, and maybe even, I don't want to say his heart, because that's poor. I do think Jesse Hart has heart, but maybe his just knit and grit. You know, he's not going to put it on Anthony Yarde, and maybe Anthony Yarde could do what Joe Smith did and just walk the guy down and just beat him to a pulp, basically, is what Joe Smith did. Joe Smith, would I put Anthony Yarde in with him? Joe Smith can punch. He's very big, maybe even this, if not similar, not far off Anthony Yarde. It's a very big unit at light heavyweight, Joe Smith. So I think that might not go well for Anthony Yarde if he was the fighter. And Joe Smith has good energy. It's not a good fight for Anthony Yarde if I was managing him. I wouldn't be looking away from Joe Smith. So yeah, there's guys like that you could take on. So, you know, those are my thoughts on this. I wonder what they're going to do. He's obviously not going to go near domestic level or British level. Obviously, he's never won a British title or European title. And we got guys like Craig Richards who are fighting for a British title. I mean, if he wanted to pick up a British title, I mean, I would pick him over Craig Richards if he was to fight him. I forget who Craig Richards is fighting. He's fighting on Channel 5. But even at domestic level, you know, if he wanted to start with Boazzi, I think he's moving on from domestic level. He's fighting McCalkin. So, you know, there's fights there to be made. There's fights there to be made for Anthony Yarde. So, I think Anthony Yarde, I think he'll come good. I think Anthony Yarde will win a world title. Whether he wins at a cruiserweight or whether he wins at light heavyweight, I think he'll be a world champ. I think he's the skills there, he's the athleticism, he's the talent, he's the punching power. But it's just about how he's matched. You know, I think what they did defending, and Daniel Dubois could run into this trap as well, where you're defending these minor sanctioned titles so much, you end up getting a super high ranking. Like, look at Daniel Dubois, he's ranked number 3 at the WBO. You get a high rank and you end up becoming mandatory, but then you're in over your head. You know, you're fighting for a title when you're not ready. You know, you've just beat Travis Rivas and now you're expecting to beat Sergei Kovalev. You know, I don't think it's a good way of doing things. Just personally, that's my way of looking at it. But those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. And as always, I will talk to you after.